With enemies closing in, the princess hid her children from the world. The planet's capital city, Luminaris, shimmered under the pale light of 3 suns, but the beauty was fading, swallowed by the shadows of approaching Zarathi fleets. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony of her palace, her silver cloak billowing in the cold wind. She watched the horizon, her heart pounding with fear and determination. She knew what was coming, and she also knew what she had to do. Inside the palace, the halls were alive with hurried voices. Soldiers prepared defenses, engineers recalibrated the city's energy shields, and couriers ran with urgent messages. But Lyra's mind was not on armies or technology. It was on her children. They were not yet 10, and yet hidden within their small frames were gifts that could change the fate of the human race. Gifts the Zarathi would kill to control. She could not allow that to happen. "Your Highness," Commander Kale's voice broke through her thoughts. He was tall, with a scar running down the left side of his face, proof of battles fought and survived. "The fleets are closing in. The outer shields will hold for an hour, maybe 2, but after that—" He let the words hang in the cold air. Lyra turned to him, her green eyes fierce. "I know, Kale, that is why we cannot wait. We must leave now." Kale's jaw tightened. "Leaving the city, leaving everything behind." "Yes," Lyra said firmly. "The city, the palace, even the people we cannot save. My children are more important. The future of humanity depends on them." Kale nodded, though his eyes were heavy with doubt. He had served the royal family all his life, and he understood the weight of her decision. He knew that hiding the children would mean abandoning everything they had built, but he also knew that it was the only choice that could ensure their survival. Lyra turned away from the balcony and walked through the grand halls of the palace. Her 2 children, Elian and Myra, sat in a hidden chamber, playing quietly with a small, hovering orb that projected tiny stars into the air. Her youngest, little Soren, was asleep in a cradle nearby, his small chest rising and falling with the rhythm of life. "They are ready," she whispered to herself, though she knew it was more than readiness she felt. Fear coiled tightly around her heart, but she swallowed it down. She could not afford weakness, not now. Kale entered the chamber, bowing his head respectfully. "We have cleared the lower tunnels. They are secure for now. We can move them without detection, but we must hurry." Lyra knelt beside her children, brushing Myra's dark hair from her face. "My loves," she said softly, "we are going on a journey. It will be dangerous, but it is necessary. You must trust me, and you must be brave." Myra's eyes widened. "Mama, are we leaving the palace?" "Yes," Lyra said gently. "We are leaving everything behind so we can be safe, so you can live to see the stars." Elian, older by a few years, frowned. "But the Zarathi, will they find us?" "They might try," Lyra said honestly, "but we are smarter. Humans are clever. We will outsmart them. You must believe that." Kale stepped forward. "The tunnels are ready. The cloaking chambers are prepared. Once we enter, no one will sense you, but we must move now." The princess gathered her children, holding their small hands tightly. Each step toward the hidden passage felt like walking into a shadowed future. The palace corridors were familiar, filled with memories of laughter and warmth, but now they were haunted by the sounds of approaching war. As they descended into the tunnels, the walls shimmered with protective energy fields, ancient technology that had been dormant for decades. Lyra had discovered it in the palace archives, old machinery designed to hide people in times of dire threat. Now, it was their salvation. "Stay close," she whispered. "Do not let go." The children nodded, trusting her without question. Trust was all she could ask of them. Hours passed as they moved through winding passages beneath the city. Outside, the sounds of destruction echoed faintly through the stone. Explosions shook the ground, distant alarms blared, and the faint hum of energy shields strained against the pressure of the Zarathi assault. Yet in the tunnels, there was silence. A silence heavy with anticipation, fear, and hope. Finally, they reached a chamber unlike any other in the tunnels. It was circular, with smooth walls that pulsed with light. In the center stood a series of pods, each just large enough for one child. Lyra approached the nearest pod, placing her hands on the smooth surface. The technology responded, lights shifting from pale blue to vibrant gold. "This is it," she said softly. "Once you enter, you will be hidden from everyone, friend and foe alike. No one can sense you here." Elian looked up at her, eyes wide. "Even the Zarathi." Lyra smiled, though it did not reach her heart entirely. "Even the Zarathi. They will not find you here." One by one, the children stepped into the pods, their small hands clutching their mother's fingers until the very last moment. Lyra activated the cloaking mechanism and a soft hum filled the chamber. A golden light enveloped the children, shimmering like sunlight through water. Kale stood guard, his eyes scanning the tunnel entrance. "We should leave before the scanners detect us," he said. Lyra nodded. "Go, take me back to the surface. I will hold them off as long as I can." The princess turned away from the pods, a fierce determination settling over her. She knew the Zarathi would not give up easily. They would search, probe, and destroy anything in their path to find her children. But she also knew something else. Humans were never truly helpless. In her heart, she felt the spark of resilience, the same spark that had carried her ancestors across the stars. When Lyra and Kale emerged into the upper tunnels, the world above was chaos. Fires burned across Luminaris, the sky darkened by the silhouettes of Zarathi warships, and the air was thick with smoke and the scent of burning metal. Soldiers fought desperately, but the sheer power of the alien armada was overwhelming. Lyra's heart clenched, but she did not falter. "We need to move to the secondary exit," she said. "The city is lost, but our mission is not." They ran through the smoke-filled streets, avoiding patrols and skirmishes. Every shadow seemed alive with danger. Every distant explosion reminded her that time was short. Yet, even in the face of despair, she felt a strange pride. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they had survived. The cleverness, courage, and spirit of humans were not gone. They lived in every heart that refused to yield. At last, they reached a hidden launch bay on the outskirts of the city. A small spacecraft, designed for stealth rather than speed, awaited them. Lyra and Kale boarded quickly, sealing the hatch behind them. The engines roared to life, a soft vibration under their feet, and the ship lifted from the burning surface of Astrion. From above, the city looked small, fragile, and beautiful. Lyra's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "I promise," she whispered to herself, "I will keep them safe. I will not fail." As they ascended beyond the atmosphere, the vastness of space stretched before them. The stars were countless, cold, and indifferent, yet in that vastness lay hope. Humanity had survived storms, wars, and the unknown. Lyra believed with every fiber of her being that her children would survive this too. But even as they escaped Astrion, a new danger loomed. Far across the galaxy, a Zarathi scout ship detected unusual energy readings. Something, or someone, was hidden, and the alien senses were relentless. Lyra could feel it in her bones. The war was far from over. Inside the cloaking chamber, the children slept, unaware of the storm surrounding them. Yet their future, and the future of humanity, rested in their small hands. Lyra sat beside the chamber, holding onto the hope that had carried them this far. She whispered words of love and courage, promises that one day they would see the stars not as hunted prey, but as masters of their destiny. Outside, the darkness of space pressed against their tiny vessel, but Lyra did not fear it. Humans were survivors. Humans were clever. And as long as she drew breath, she would fight, hide, and protect her children with every ounce of strength she possessed. The journey had begun, and the first step of survival was taken. Astrion might burn and the Zarathi might rage, but the heart of humanity, resilient, clever, unyielding, beat strong in the hidden children of Princess Lyra. The small spacecraft drifted silently through the cold emptiness of space. invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. Inside, Princess Lyra kept a steady watch on the cloaking chamber where her children slept, their soft breathing a fragile rhythm against the hum of the engines. Every star outside reminded her that the galaxy was vast, full of unknown threats and possibilities alike. She knew the Zarathi would not stop searching. They were relentless, and humans had to be smarter, faster, and braver to survive. "Kale," she said quietly, her eyes scanning the readouts, "we need to find a safe haven, somewhere the Zarathi won't look. Somewhere humans can hide and rebuild." Kale's hands tightened on the controls. "I know a place, Erevos. It's a forgotten planet off all main routes. Ancient human colonies once lived there. The technology there, some of it is still functional, but most is hidden, covered, and protected." Lyra's heart lifted slightly. "Then that is where we go. We cannot afford mistakes." The journey through hyperspace was long and tense. Lyra kept the children's pods stable, ensuring the cloaking fields remained strong. Outside, the stars blurred into lines as the ship entered faster-than-light travel. She allowed herself a moment to breathe, though anxiety gnawed at her. The Zarathi were cunning. They could trace faint energy signatures. They could anticipate human movements. Survival depended on staying ahead, thinking faster than the hunters. As days passed, they encountered isolated human settlements. Some were thriving, using ingenuity to survive far from the reach of the Zarathi. Others were struggling, their resources depleted and morale low. Lyra approached these places carefully, sometimes disguised, sometimes sending messages through encrypted channels. She avoided unnecessary attention. The children's safety always came first. One evening, as the small ship glided silently past a minor asteroid belt, a signal flashed on the main console, a distress call. Lyra frowned. "Someone is calling for help," she said, her voice firm. "Do we respond?" Kale hesitated. "It could be a trap. Zarathi might be luring us in. We shouldn't risk it." Lyra shook her head. "Humans help each other. That is what makes us strong. Even if it is dangerous, we cannot ignore a call for aid." They followed the signal to a derelict mining station orbiting a small gas giant. The station was battered, smoke rising from damaged reactors, warning lights flashing. Inside, survivors, a small group of engineers and miners, huddled in the control room, their faces pale with fear. Lyra and Kale entered cautiously. "We're here to help," Lyra said calmly, though her mind calculated every possibility. "What happened?" The lead engineer, a woman named Tessa, stepped forward. "Zarathi raiders," she said, her voice trembling. "They attacked our station, took supplies, destroyed most of our ships. We barely escaped." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Then you need to leave. We can guide you to a safer place, somewhere hidden from their fleets." Tessa glanced at Kale. "And why would you risk your own safety for us?" Lyra looked at the children's cloaked pods, then back at Tessa. "Because humans survive when we protect each other. And because sometimes the smallest acts of courage can change everything." Over the next several days, Lyra and Kale helped the survivors repair a transport ship. The humans worked tirelessly, inspired by the princess's calm and determination. When the ship was ready, Lyra guided them through hidden hyperspace routes, away from the main trade lanes, away from the Zarathi's patrols. As they departed, the miners waved from the viewport, their hope rekindled. Lyra felt a quiet satisfaction. Saving lives, even in small numbers, was the essence of what it meant to be human, but danger was never far. While they navigated through the outer sectors of the galaxy, a flash of red appeared on the sensor array. A scout ship, fast, silent, deadly. The Zarathi had found their trail. "Kale, evasive maneuvers," Lyra commanded, her voice steady despite the rising tension. The ship twisted and turned, weaving through asteroids and debris, attempting to shake the pursuing vessel. Lasers streaked past, cutting the black of space with deadly precision. The children stirred in their pods. The energy cloaks flickered briefly as the ship shuddered under impact. Lyra rushed to the controls, stabilizing the fields and whispering to the pods, "Stay calm. You are safe. I will not let them touch you." Kale's voice was tight. "We can't outrun them forever. They're too fast." Lyra's mind raced. Humans were clever, inventive, and resilient. She scanned the nearby asteroid belt. A dangerous maneuver, but it might work. "We'll use the asteroids to our advantage. Hide among them, move unpredictably. They won't anticipate it." With precise control, Lyra piloted the ship into the belt. The asteroids loomed like giants, spinning slowly in the darkness. The Zarathi followed, but their scanners struggled to distinguish ship from rock. Lasers struck asteroids, sending chunks flying, but Lyra's careful piloting kept the children safe. Slowly, the alien ship fell behind, unable to maintain pursuit without risking destruction. When they emerged on the other side of the belt, Lyra allowed herself a brief sigh. "For now, we are safe," she said, "but we cannot linger. Erivos waits, and it may be our only refuge." As they traveled, Lyra observed the children more closely. Though asleep, their subtle abilities occasionally flared. A faint glow around Elian's hands, a soft pulse from Myra's mind, and tiny movements of the ship's instruments when Sauron stirred. Kale noticed too, his eyes widening in realization. "They're more than ordinary children," he said quietly. Lyra nodded. "Yes, they are the future, and we must teach them to survive, to use their gifts wisely. But that time is not yet. Now we run, we hide, we live." Days turned into weeks. The journey to Erivos was long, and the ship's supplies dwindled. Lyra made careful stops at abandoned outposts, scavenging food, fuel, and energy cells. Everywhere she went, she left messages for other humans, coded in signals only human minds could decipher. She hoped these would inspire resistance, ways to fight back against the Zarathi, even if she could not be present. One night, as the ship drifted near a binary star system, Lyra felt a disturbance in the cloaking fields. Tiny fluctuations, almost imperceptible but enough to make her heart race. Kale scanned frantically. "Someone or something is tracking the children," he said. "It's not ordinary sensors, it's psychic. I've never seen technology like this before." Lyra's stomach tightened. "The Zarathi have developed a psychic tracker. They can sense abilities, even if hidden. We must reach Erivos before they detect us." The urgency transformed their journey. Lyra piloted the ship with renewed focus, navigating through uncharted space, bypassing known hyperspace lanes, and avoiding any civilization that might inadvertently reveal their location. The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent witnesses to the desperate flight of a princess and her children. Finally, after a perilous passage through dense nebulae and meteor fields, the ship approached Erivos. From orbit, the planet looked abandoned, quiet, and peaceful. But Lyra knew appearances could be deceiving. Ancient human technology could be both a blessing and a trap. Descending through the atmosphere, she guided the ship toward a hidden valley. Thick forests and jagged cliffs concealed the entrance to a subterranean complex, long abandoned but still powered by human ingenuity. The valley was littered with ancient machines, dormant but intact. Lyra's eyes glimmered with cautious hope. "This is it," she whispered. "Our new home." Kale helped secure the children's pods. "We'll set up defenses first," he said. "Then we can wake them safely. We cannot risk the Zarathi finding them now." Lyra nodded. She activated the valley's ancient systems. Energy barriers rose, camouflaging their location from orbit. Old turrets, long silent, hummed with power once more. Sensors scanned the surrounding space, ready to alert them to any approaching threat. Slowly the valley came alive, a fortress hidden in plain sight, waiting for its human defenders. As the children remained in stasis, Lyra allowed herself a moment of reflection. They were safe for now, but the journey had only begun. The Zarathi would not give up. And the galaxy was filled with dangers beyond even her imagination. Yet, within that danger was hope. Human resilience, ingenuity and courage had brought them this far. It would carry them further still. The first night on Erevos was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt heavy with anticipation. Lyra sat beside the pods, holding her hand over Alien's. The soft hum of the cloaking field was comforting, a lullaby of safety. "You will live," she whispered. "You will grow. And one day you will see the galaxy, not as hunted children but as the heirs of humanity's brilliance." Outside, stars twinkled coldly, distant and unfeeling. Yet in the valley, hidden beneath the cliffs and forests, a small group of humans had found sanctuary. And as long as they drew breath, as long as courage and cleverness guided them, humanity's story would continue, defying the darkness that sought to consume it. For Lyra, Kale, and her children, the next chapter had begun. Not just survival, but preparation, growth, and the quiet shaping of a future that no enemy, no matter how powerful, could take away. The galaxy was vast, the Zarathi were relentless, and the future uncertain. But humans were clever, humans were resilient, and hidden in the heart of Erevos, the spark of hope burned brighter than any star. The hidden valley of Erevos was quiet, almost too quiet, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Princess Lyra moved through the subterranean corridors of the ancient human complex, her footsteps echoing softly against the stone walls. The children's pods glimmered faintly in the dim light, suspended in stasis, their small forms protected from the world above. Every sensor in the valley scanned the skies and forests outside, watching for the slightest disturbance, the faintest sign of the Zarathi returning. Kale stood beside her, arms crossed, his eyes sharp. "They'll be coming," he said quietly. "They know something is out here. The tracker might have lost them for now, but the Zarathi don't give up easily." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare, we teach the children, we awaken them only when we are ready. Everything depends on patience." For the next several days, the valley became a hive of quiet activity. Lyra and Kale explored the ancient technology, discovering systems that humans had left dormant centuries ago. Machines capable of self-repair, defense drones with artificial intelligence that could anticipate enemy movements, and energy barriers that could cloak entire sections of the valley from scanning satellites. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. The technology was old, but it was ingenious, an echo of humanity's brilliance, proof that cleverness could survive even when time seemed to erase it. Finally, the day came when Lyra decided the children were ready to awaken. She stood beside the first pod, her hand hovering over the control panel. "This is it," she whispered. "You awake to a world of danger but also of hope. You are strong, you are human, and that is enough to survive." With a soft hum, the stasis field dissipated. Alien's eyes fluttered open first, wide and curious. He blinked at the dim light, then at Lyra. "Mama?" he asked, his voice small but clear. Lyra smiled, brushing his hair back. "Yes, my love, you are safe. We are safe for now." Myra's eyes opened next, dark and bright, full of wonder and intelligence beyond her years. She reached for Lyra instinctively, her small hand finding her mother's. Even in that moment, Lyra could sense the spark within her, the latent power that had always made her special. Soren stirred last, yawning and stretching. Though the youngest, he already exuded a strange calm, as if he sensed more than his age should allow. Lyra kissed his forehead. "You are part of something greater, little one. One day you will see what that means." The awakening was not just physical, it was also a discovery of abilities. Alien's hands shimmered faintly as he touched the controls of the pod. Machines responded to him, lights adjusting and small mechanisms moving at his command. Myra could read the energy flows in the valley, sensing the hidden currents of power within the ancient technology. Even Soren, in his quiet way, seemed to influence the living plants around the valley, coaxing small buds to bloom where none had grown in decades. Kale and Lyra watched in awe. "They are more than I imagined," Kale said. "We have to train them carefully. Their powers, they could change everything. Lyra nodded. Yes, but first they must understand survival. Intelligence and power are nothing without wisdom. We will teach them to be clever, brave, and compassionate. That is what makes humans strong. Training began immediately. Lyra taught them strategy, showing them how to anticipate threats, how to read the movements of an enemy, and how to use their surroundings to their advantage. Kale trained them in combat, though carefully, teaching self-defense, stealth, and improvisation rather than brute force. The children learned quickly, their abilities amplifying their understanding. Days passed, and the valley transformed. Defensive systems were activated, patrol drones moved silently through the forests, and traps were laid along likely paths of Zarathi approach. Lyra and Kale worked tirelessly, preparing the children not only for survival, but for the moment when humanity might fight back. It was during one of these training sessions that the first threat arrived. Sensors detected an approaching ship, cloaked but detectable through subtle energy fluctuations. Lyra's pulse quickened. The Zarathi had found them. "They're scouting," she said. "We are ready, but the children must stay hidden." Kale nodded, moving to the defensive console. "I'll handle the perimeter. You focus on the children." Lyra guided the children to a hidden chamber beneath the valley, deep enough that no scanners could reach them. "Stay here," she instructed. "Do exactly as I taught you. Trust your instincts and trust each other." Elian nodded. Myra's eyes glimmered with determination, and Soren, though small, seemed to understand. Lyra activated the chamber's secondary cloaking field, hiding them from view. Outside, the valley's defenses activated. Energy barriers shimmered into existence, drones took flight, and automated turrets powered up. The Zarathi ship approached cautiously, scanning for signs of life. It fired probing energy pulses, but the human systems absorbed and redirected them, creating illusions of movement that confused the alien sensors. Kale moved quickly, coordinating the defense. "They'll try to land," he shouted. "Prepare the traps." The Zarathi attempted to descend, but the valley had been prepared. Hidden nets and energy snares caught their landing craft, while automated drones engaged in precise maneuvers, disabling weapons without revealing the human's location. The Zarathi commander, frustrated and confused, ordered a retreat, unable to penetrate the hidden defenses. Inside the chamber, the children watched the display screens, their eyes wide. Elian's fingers danced over a console, subtly enhancing the systems with his abilities. Myra analyzed energy flows, predicting enemy movements with uncanny accuracy. Even little Soren seemed to sense the subtle shifts in life around them, warning of potential dangers before they appeared. Lyra watched them, pride swelling in her chest. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "The galaxy will test you, but you have the heart of humanity. That is your greatest strength." In the days that followed, Lyra and the children explored the deeper parts of Erivos. Ancient cities lay buried beneath the forests, remnants of human civilization long forgotten. Technology that once powered fleets and cities now slept beneath layers of rock and soil, waiting for clever minds to awaken it. Elian was drawn to machines, learning to interface with them, coaxing them to life with a natural ease that Lyra had never seen. Myra could sense the currents of energy, bending them subtly, enhancing defenses, and even communicating with automated systems without touching them. Soren's connection to life was quieter, but no less powerful. Plants, animals, and even the ecosystem itself seemed to respond to his presence. Together, the children were more than human. They were a symbol of what humanity could achieve when ingenuity, courage, and resilience combined. But Lyra knew the Zarathi would not be deterred forever. Their psychic tracker had already sensed the children once. It was only a matter of time before they returned, stronger and more determined. Preparation was not enough. Humans would need strategy, cunning, and daring if they hoped to survive the coming attacks. One evening, as the valley's sun set behind jagged cliffs, Lyra gathered the children. "You have learned well," she said, "but knowledge without courage is meaningless. You must trust yourselves. You must trust humanity. And above all, you must remember that even in the darkest moments, we can survive if we think, act, and care for each other." Elian's eyes shone. "We can fight, Mama," Lyra smiled. "Yes, but not recklessly. Humanity never wins by brute force alone. We win by thinking, by adapting, by being clever. That is our gift." Myra nodded, her expression serious. "Then we will be ready. We will protect everyone." Even little Soren gurgled softly, a strange confidence in his small voice. Lyra knew that together they were more than just children. They were a force that could change the course of the galaxy. The first confrontation had shown them the value of preparation, of ingenuity, and of human courage. But larger battles lay ahead. The Zarathi were patient, relentless, and intelligent. Lyra had no illusions. The children would be tested and humanity itself would be challenged. Yet, even in the shadow of danger, Lyra felt hope. Humans had always faced impossible odds, from the earliest days on fragile worlds to the vast expanse of the stars. They had survived plagues, wars, and cosmic disasters. They had outsmarted predators, both alien and human, and built civilizations where others had thought none possible. And now, hidden in the valley of Erivos, the future of humanity prepared itself for the trials ahead. Children who were more than human, guided by a mother who would not yield, protected by ancient technology and cunning strategy. They were ready to face the galaxy, not as victims, but as masters of their destiny. In the deep silence of the valley, Lyra looked at the stars through a high window. Somewhere beyond the darkness, the Zarathi plodded, searching for the hidden heirs. But humans were clever. Humans were resourceful. And as long as courage and intelligence guided them, humanity would survive. Not just survive, but rise. The awakening of the children marked a turning point. Erivos was no longer a hidden refuge. It was a bastion of human potential. And when the Zarathi returned, they would not find frightened children. They would find a force that combined intellect, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity, the very essence of what it meant to be human. The galaxy was vast, threats were relentless, and the future uncertain. But in the quiet valley of Erivos, the spark of hope burned brightly. Humanity had endured, and now, through the hidden children, it would shape its destiny once more. Lyra stood beside the pods, holding her children's hands. "We have survived the beginning," she whispered. "Now we prepare for everything that comes next, and when the time comes, we will show the galaxy the heart of humanity." The first seeds of resistance, ingenuity, and courage had been planted. Erivos would be their school, their fortress, and their beacon. And the children, the hidden heirs, would grow into the hope that humanity needed, ready to face the darkness with cleverness, bravery, and unshakable heart. The valley of Erivos lay silent, shrouded in mist and guarded by ancient human technology. Princess Lyra stood at the control console, her eyes scanning every monitor, every sensor. The Zarathi were approaching, larger in number and more cunning than ever. Their psychic trackers had adapted, searching the galaxy for the hidden heirs of Astrion. Lyra's heart pounded, but her mind was sharp, every thought focused on the survival of her children and the survival of humanity itself. "Elian, Myra, Soren," she called. The children stepped forward from the training chamber, each one calm but alert. Elian's hands glimmered faintly with energy as he tested the systems. Myra's eyes scanned the flow of energy across the valley, sensing every weak point and every opportunity. Soren, small but perceptive, moved among the plants and creatures, noting subtle shifts in the environment. Together, they formed a unique force, a blend of human ingenuity and extraordinary ability. Lyra looked at them with pride and determination. "Today, we face the Zarathi. They believe humans are weak, easy to destroy. They are wrong. You are clever, brave, and united. and that is why they will fail. Kale stood beside her, checking weapons, drones, and energy barriers. They'll test everything we've prepared. But humans have survived impossible odds before. They will learn that the hard way. The first Zarathi ships appeared on the valley's sensors, sleek and dark, cutting through space with lethal precision. They formed a crescent around Erevos, preparing for landing. The children watched silently, understanding instinctively what needed to be done. Lyra activated the valley's cloaking barriers. The terrain seemed to disappear from all external scans. Automated turrets moved into hidden positions, and drones buzzed like unseen guardians among the cliffs and forests. The Zarathi commander, a cold, calculating figure with psychic sight, sensed the children's presence and smiled with cruel confidence. "There they are," he whispered, "the heirs of humanity. We will claim them and the human spirit will be extinguished." He ordered his fleet to descend, unaware that the humans were ready. Lyra activated hidden energy nets that snapped up the first landing craft before it touched the valley floor. Drones struck swiftly, targeting weapons without revealing the human's position. Every move the Zarathi made was anticipated, countered, and redirected. Alien's powers amplified the valley's systems. Energy flowed through the consoles, enhancing barriers, redirecting power to drones and turrets. Myra analyzed the Zarathi's patterns, predicting their every move. Even Sauron's quiet influence encouraged plants and terrain to shift subtly, creating obstacles and camouflage that the aliens could not account for. Lyra's heart swelled. Humans, she thought, were more than flesh and bone. They were clever, resilient, and capable of greatness. This was the essence of humanity, the very thing the Zarathi underestimated. The first wave of Zarathi landed and charged. They expected an easy battle. Instead, they were met with traps, false corridors, and unexpected energy pulses that disarmed their weapons. Automated turrets fired with precision, striking key systems on their armored suits. The Zarathi commander's psychic probe reached out, searching for the children, but found only illusions and decoys. Kale moved among the soldiers and drones, coordinating attacks with precision. "Keep them off balance," he shouted. "Do not let them regroup." Alien extended his hands and the machines responded. Drones swooped down, striking with unmatched accuracy, while barriers shifted and trapped enemy units in energy fields. Myra guided the flow of energy, reinforcing weaknesses and enhancing the valley's defenses. Even Sauron, in his quiet way, caused trees and vines to shift, ensnaring the enemy and slowing their advance. Despite their power, the Zarathi were cunning. They regrouped and launched a psychic assault, attempting to overwhelm the children's minds. Lyra stepped forward, placing a hand on Alien's shoulder. "Focus, my son. Remember your training. Trust your mind, your heart, and your human spirit." Alien's hands glowed brighter, a wave of energy radiating outward. It created a protective shield around the valley, deflecting the psychic attacks. Myra extended her senses, sensing the attacks before they arrived, and guided the flow of energy to neutralize their impact. Sauron moved among the natural defenses, subtly influencing terrain and life to counter the intruders. The Zarathi commander growled in frustration. "Impossible! Humans cannot be this clever," Lyra smiled. "Humans always find a way." The battle raged through the valley, but the Zarathi began to falter. Their ships were disabled, their soldiers trapped or neutralized, and their psychic trackers confused by the children's powers. Every attempt they made was met with ingenuity and strategy. Humans were not just fighting, they were thinking, adapting, and overcoming. At a critical moment, the Zarathi commander ordered a full assault on the Central Valley, believing that if he captured the children, humanity would crumble. Lyra knew the time had come. "Children now," she shouted. Alien, Myra, and Sauron moved in unison, their abilities working in harmony. Alien manipulated the energy systems, creating controlled blasts that disarmed the remaining ships. Myra directed energy flows to disable enemy technology while enhancing human defenses. Soren subtly influenced the living environment, causing plants to grow rapidly and vines to ensnare enemy soldiers, making them easy targets for the remaining drones and automated defenses. The Zarathi forces were overwhelmed. Their pride and technological advantage meant nothing against the combination of human ingenuity, courage, and the extraordinary abilities of the hidden heirs. One by one, their ships were disabled, their soldiers neutralized, and the commander realized defeat was inevitable. "You cannot win," he shouted, fury in his voice. "Humans are weak." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "We are human. We are clever, brave, and united. That is our strength. You underestimated us, and that is why you have failed." The commander attempted one last psychic strike, reaching deep into the children's minds, but together, the three of them formed a shield stronger than any barrier. Elian's energy, Myra's precision, and Soren's subtle control of life converged, repelling the attack and sending a shockwave that disabled the Zarathi commander's systems. He fell to the ground, defeated. Silence followed. The valley was quiet again, filled with the hum of the restored systems and the gentle rustle of plants returning to calm. Lyra approached her children, her heart overflowing with pride. "You were magnificent," she whispered. "Not because of your powers alone, but because of your courage, your intelligence, and your humanity." Kale stepped beside her, nodding. "They've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. The Zarathi underestimated us, and they paid the price." The children looked at Lyra, their eyes bright but humble. "We were scared," Elian admitted, "but we remembered your words. We trusted ourselves and each other." Lyra smiled, brushing Myra's hair from her face. "That is what makes humans strong. We face fear, we think, we adapt, and we act with courage. That is the heart of our species." In the days that followed, the Valley of Erivos became a symbol. Humans from nearby systems heard of the hidden heirs and the victory against the Zarathi. Resistance cells formed, inspired by the courage and ingenuity displayed in the battle. Lyra and Kale worked tirelessly, helping other humans prepare, share knowledge, and organize defenses. The children continued their training, learning to refine their abilities, to combine power with strategy, and to lead with wisdom. They were no longer just hidden heirs. They were symbols of hope, proof that humanity could survive and thrive even in the face of overwhelming threats. Lyra often looked at the stars, reflecting on how far they had come. From the burning skies of Astrion to the hidden valley of Erivos, they had survived against impossible odds. The children were safe, the Zarathi defeated, and humanity inspired. But she knew the galaxy remained dangerous. Other threats lurked in the dark, and the challenges ahead would require all their ingenuity, courage, and unity. Yet, for the first time, Lyra allowed herself to hope. Humans had endured for millennia, overcoming impossible odds through cleverness, adaptability, and courage. The hidden heirs, nurtured and guided, represented the future of that enduring spirit. They were not just survivors, they were the torchbearers of humanity's brilliance. The sun rose over Erivos, casting golden light across the valley. The ancient human technology hummed quietly, the forest stirred with life, and the children played and trained under the watchful eyes of Lyra and Kale. Humanity had survived the greatest test yet. They had faced the darkness, and they had prevailed. Lyra knew that the story was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and dangers. But she also knew that humans, guided by courage, intelligence, and the unyielding heart of hope, could face anything. And with her children, her hidden heirs, humanity would not only survive but rise to meet the stars. The Zarathi would return, perhaps, but humanity had shown its true strength. In every strategy, every act of cleverness, and every courageous choice, humans proved that they were not to be underestimated. And the hidden heirs, protected, trained, and inspired, would ensure that humanity's light continued to shine, no matter how dark the universe became. Lyra held her children close, whispering words of pride and love. "You are the future, you are the hope, and together we will make the galaxy remember the heart of humanity." The stars above Erevos twinkled brightly, reflecting the resilience, ingenuity, and spirit of a species that refused to bow. The battle was won, but the war for survival and destiny continued, and humanity, clever, brave, and unyielding, would always find a way. With enemies closing in, the princess hid her children from the world.